Tonight, communities demolished and desperate as the brutal aftermath of Hurricane Helene continues to grip the South. The tragic scenes of loss and destruction still coming in nearly 7 days since the storm first hit. The death toll also rising by the hour, with more than 200 lives lost and hundreds more still missing. Authorities seeking help from drone operators to survey the damage and search for survivors, and shocking video showing the moment floodwaters push a woman's home off its foundation, with her still sitting on the porch. This just moments before her husband was swept away. Tonight, she speaks with Top Story. In politics, Melania's pro-choice reveal, the former First Lady posting a video promoting her new book, praising individual freedoms for women and saying, "My body, my choice." A stark contrast to her husband Donald Trump's history of restricting abortion access, what this move means for his platform and campaign. Imminent attack on Iran, Israel vowing retaliation after that barrage of missiles launched by Iran. The country now threatening any country who assists Israel in this attack, including the U.S. All this as Israeli ground forces push deeper into Lebanon, the potential of a war on multiple fronts becoming reality. Also breaking tonight, Garth Brooks accused of sexual assault and battery. The country star's former hair and makeup artist claiming he raped her on a 2019 work trip. What Brooks is saying tonight: hacking your Ticketmaster account, a data breach of the ticket-selling giant earlier this year, now costing users thousands of dollars in stolen concert tickets. How scammers are getting in and stealing those stubs. And finding gold in Ghana, the price of the precious metal hitting historic highs worldwide, but the constant threat of smuggling and illegal mining are also on the rise, leading to protests and public outrage in Africa's Gold Coast. Our Zincle Esamoah traveled to the region to see how miners are dealing with these growing challenges. Plus, the late-breaking news just coming into the newsroom, a jury delivering a mixed verdict for 3 former Memphis police officers accused of beating Tyre Nichols to death during a traffic stop. We'll break down what those charges mean. Top Story starts right now. And good evening, I'm Tom Llamas. Tonight, Helene's wrath still being felt day after day by communities across the South. With each passing hour, new sites of total destruction, just like this one, a scene in Swannanoa, North Carolina, still completely engulfed in mud. We told you about this area last night. And take a look at these satellite images showing the shocking before and after shots of a town across North Carolina. The landscape and infrastructure nearly unrecognizable. So much mud there. And the stories of tragic loss becoming all too familiar. In a few moments, we hear from a woman who lost her husband and her dog when their home, you see it right here, was swept away in the floodwaters. But some miraculous stories of survival as well. A former NASCAR driver using his own helicopter to deliver supplies, spotting a stranded survivor because he was holding a mirror. All these moments, just a glimpse of what the region has been through in the past week. But first, I want to get to Sam Brock, who again leads us off tonight.
Almost 7 days after Hurricane Helene battered large stretches of the South, the search for those unaccounted for continues as new stories of survival come to light.
The water rose so fast and got so strong that I just had to grab a post and hold on.
The devastating death totals only expected to grow. So far, at least 215 fatalities now confirmed across 6 different states. From Florida's Pinellas County, with around a dozen drownings, to Georgia's statewide suffering, recording more than 30 fatalities. Then there's North Carolina, where more than 100 have died. And search and rescue efforts have taken some miraculous turns. Former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle using a private helicopter to deliver supplies, spotting a stranded survivor only because he was hoisting a mirror, also in the mountains. Employees of Skyfire AI firing up their drone and showing us how they work with governments and even private companies to locate the missing.
Aid for local law enforcement to help search and rescue, to help find routes, to better get aid in and out.
We take a bird's eye view of the destruction in Burnsville, North Carolina, an hour outside of Asheville. Is this the area they've been searching?
There has been a lot of search and rescue in this area. I know it's been very difficult for them to get up here, and this is one of the areas they're saying still needs a lot of supplies to get moved in.
On this day, choppers, likely medevacs, fly overhead as the Skyfire team shows us roads that have been buckled, broken, and chopped off. All the while, families wait.
We've had conversations with people who haven't seen their loved ones in a week. and it's completely heartbreaking.
Their efforts even helping companies like CVS, who determine road and bridge status so they could get medications to patients in need quickly and search for several employees who were unaccounted for following the storm. The damage on the ground, in this case an access bridge by a local quarry that's all but gone, indicative of the challenges that lie ahead for restoring infrastructure like water. Swannanoa Fire Chief Anthony Penland addressing the decimated pipes.
I don't think there's a word to describe it. I don't know how long this is going to take.
For so many tonight, the road ahead is long, but their mere survival is something to celebrate.
The front door, the water pushed it in, and it pushed in the back door, and within 30 seconds, it went from the ground to neck level.
All right, Sam Brock joins us from another disaster zone in Asheville, North Carolina this time. So, Sam, we're getting some conflicting numbers, but that there may be more than 200 dead. I know you have some new reporting on this.
Yeah, so the 215 or so far, Tom, is the number that's been tabulated by NBC News across these 6 different states. Tonight, Buncombe County, which is where Asheville is, the county sheriff reported the death toll had been rising to 72 now. It was 61 yesterday. We did expect a jump in the death toll, but the most shocking thing he said was that there are 200 or so people missing. But the question, Tom, becomes, how do you define missing? First of all, look over my shoulder. So many roads here have homes and debris blocking access. Then there's the idea that the county officials going door to door trying to communicate with people are having language barrier issues, communication issues. They're not sure how many people are actually staying in each home. There's also a large unhoused population. You put all this together, and yes, the number has fluctuated to 200, but it's hard to know how much stock to put in that figure.
And you were telling me there's issues still with communication, obviously with cell phones, and that there's a large migrant population there. So the numbers could be a lot higher, they could be lower, but clearly there's a lot of unknowns tonight.
So many unknowns. You know, the reality is there is a large Latino population here. Some of them are migrants without documentation, and many of them do have fear about what might happen to them. I say this because our producer on the ground has had conversations, spoken to them in Spanish, and they are worried about accepting food and aid really from the National Guard, from county officials. They're worried it could be ICE. And they also are having difficulties in some cases reaching loved ones and asking her to use her cell phone to try to get a hold of them. So again, this is all part of a larger fabric of communication struggles and also populations, specifically this migrant population that might not be feeling comfortable, if not outright scared, with the presence of authorities in this area right now.
Sam Brock, once again, leading us off tonight here on Top Stories. Sam, we appreciate it. We're going to have much more from the disaster zone in a moment, but we want to turn to politics right now. And a major headline, a stunning moment in the 2024 presidential campaign. Former President Trump's wife, Melania, announcing she is a supporter of abortion rights, putting her at odds with her husband on a critical issue in this year's election. Garrett Hake has the late details.
Tonight, the Trump family, a house divided on the issue of abortion rights. Former First Lady Melania Trump defending them in an unreleased memoir, writing, quote, restricting a woman's right to choose whether to terminate an unwanted pregnancy is the same as denying her control over her own body, according to a Guardian report unconfirmed by NBC News. And Mrs. Trump posting today.
There is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth. Individual freedom.
Her position in stark contrast to that of her husband, the Republican presidential nominee, who opposes federal abortion rights while supporting exceptions for rape, incest, and if the mother's life is in danger, saying decisions on restrictions should be left to the states. Former President Trump also regularly boasting about the repeal of Roe v. Wade, falsely claiming majorities supported that decision.
Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states.
Despite their disagreement on abortion rights, Melania Trump remains a strong political supporter of her husband, who spoke out late tonight.
We spoke about it, and I said, you have to write what you believe. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You have to write what you believe. I said you have to stick with your heart. I've said that to everybody.
But tonight, the Harris campaign highlighting the split between the Trumps, releasing a statement that reads in part, sadly for the women across America, Mrs. Trump's husband firmly disagrees with her and blaming former President Trump for abortion restrictions in Republican-led states, saying it, quote, threatens their health, their freedom, and their lives. Garrett Hake, NBC News, Saginaw, Michigan.
And Vice President Harris also on the campaign trail today, holding a rally in Wisconsin with one of her most unexpected supporters, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, a staunch conservative and the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney. It's part of her appeal to Republicans and independent voters in one of the most critical battleground states. Gabe Gutierrez is on the ground for us in Wisconsin tonight.
She was once one of the most conservative members of Congress, but tonight Liz Cheney is standing alongside Vice President Harris.
This year, I am proudly casting my vote for Vice President Kamala Harris.
The vice president campaigning today in Ripon, Wisconsin, the birthplace of the Republican Party back in 1854.
He who violated the oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And make no mistake, he who, if given the chance, would violate it again.
Meanwhile, former President Trump slamming yesterday's release by a judge of new evidence from special counsel Jack Smith in the now-delayed January 6 case, including Trump allegedly responding, "So what?" to reports Mike Pence was in danger.
This was a weaponization of government, and that's why it was released 30 days before the election. And it's nothing new in there.
Trump today in battleground Michigan, blaming Harris for the ongoing port strike that's threatening to raise prices.
Kamala Harris has unleashed nothing but chaos and suffering for American labor. With historic inflation, she's made life excruciating for the blue-collar workers.
Here in battleground Wisconsin, Trump supporters we spoke with are deeply skeptical of Cheney, who lost her GOP primary in a landslide.
Do you think that Liz Cheney speaks for the Republican Party?
No. Absolutely not.
But Jerry Eiler, who once voted for Trump, now backs Harris.
Did Donald Trump drive you away from the Republican Party?
Absolutely. I'm totally disillusioned with the way the MAGA group has gone and all the people who stand there and pretend his lies are truth.
While Harris has received the most support from organized labor, earlier today the International Association of Firefighters voted not to endorse any candidate, and that's seen as a blow to Harris just weeks after the Teamsters Union did the same.
We want to get over to Gabe Gutierrez, who joins us tonight from Wisconsin Live. Gabe, so we weren't able to see your report right there. Talk to us about what happened today on the campaign trail. A big rally there with Liz Cheney and, of course, the vice president.
Yeah, certainly. Well, this rally just wrapped up moments ago, Tom, here in Ripon, Wisconsin. This is the birthplace of the Republican Party back in 1854. Well, Vice President Kamala Harris wanted to come here today with Liz Cheney, as you mentioned in your introduction, a staunch conservative. And just think, Tom, a decade ago, would we ever have imagined Liz Cheney campaigning with a Democrat? Well, they just wrapped up their speeches a few moments ago. Liz Cheney saying she's never voted for a Democrat in her life, but she decided to do so this time around for Kamala Harris. She says former President Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance should be disqualified from having the presidential office again. And Vice President Kamala Harris made this direct appeal, Tom, to independents, to moderates, and to Republicans who were just sick of Donald Trump. They were very well received here by the crowd. But I should say, Tom, earlier today, while she has received the most support from organized labor, earlier today the International Association of Firefighters voted against endorsing any candidate. Now that's being seen as a blow to Kamala Harris just several weeks after the Teamsters Union did the same, Tom.
Gabe, this event with the Cheneys is so interesting, right? Democrats hated Dick Cheney, the former vice president, and even Representative Liz Cheney has ripped Kamala Harris apart on Twitter. I guess they've made up now, and have those awkward moments taken shape, at least now that they're together?
Times have changed, Tom. So, yes, Liz Cheney, you saw none of that here. She was very gracious, and Kamala Harris was very grateful to have her support. Cheney was very well received by the crowd. There were even cheers with her name as she took the stage. And, yes, this is in Ripon College. The setting is chosen very symbolically by the Harris campaign. They wanted to make a point that they are going after those independent voters in these key swing states like Wisconsin. Yes, they're not going to win over staunch Trump supporters. We spoke with several of them earlier today who said, as you mentioned, they do not like Liz Cheney at all. They don't think she speaks for the modern Republican Party. But if they can just win over some of those moderate voters, the Harris campaign thinks they might put them over the top in a place like Wisconsin. And that's a critical state, as you know, Tom, that she's going to have to win.
Gabe Gutierrez with news from the campaign trail tonight. Gabe, we thank you for that. Another big political headline right now, Republican Congressman Mike Lawler out with a statement after photos obtained by the New York Times show him dressed in blackface nearly 2 decades ago. The images are from a college Halloween party where the congressman dressed up as Michael Jackson. Lawler, a self-described Michael Jackson superfan, apologizing, calling the incident, quote, the sincerest form of flattery. Hallie Jackson joins us tonight from D.C. She's been following this. Hallie, give us everything that we know about the photo, but also put this into context because he's involved in a very tight House race there on Long Island, which could determine power in the House.
It's one of the most closely watched races in the country, Tom. You're right. And let's start with that statement now from Congressman Lawler, in which he does not deny the authenticity of the photo. As you say, it was obtained by the New York Times. Now, Lawler says it happened 18 years ago at this college Halloween party in 2006. He would have been 20 years old. And the Times reports that Lawler was well known on campus as a big Michael Jackson fan. And Lawler's telling NBC News tonight, I'm quoting here, that my costume was intended as a genuine homage to one of my childhood idols. He goes on to say, for anyone who takes offense to the photo, I am sorry. Now, you talk about the context to this. Lawler is seen as a rising Republican star in deep blue New York. His House race, when you look at those lists of races to watch, this one is on there, right? It is critical for GOP chances of keeping control of the chamber. So there's a question of just how much political fallout will there be. So far, Lawler's Democratic opponent has not yet commented on this yet, Tom, but obviously we're watching to see any other developments in the days and weeks to come, Tom.
All right, Hallie Jackson for us. Hallie, thank you. We want to move overseas now to the Middle East, where tonight there are growing fears of all-out war. Iran now sending a powerful message to the U.S. just days after launching nearly 200 missiles at Israel. Richard Engels in Lebanon with more.
Tom, Iran made what can only be interpreted today as a threat to directly attack the United States or at the very least U.S. interests here in the Middle East. Iran, which is bracing for an Israeli retaliation, said that any country that assists Israel in striking Iran in response to Iran's missile barrage would be considered an accomplice and a legitimate target. Iran is trying to show strength as its allies all across the Middle East, including here in Lebanon, are being attacked by Israel. But it is an enormously risky move because if this spirals out of control, Iran could be getting itself into a war that could cost the Ayatollahs their state. Tom?
Yeah, and the entire world is watching. Okay, Richard, as Israel continues what it calls a limited and targeted attack on Hezbollah, a buildup of tanks and troops along its border with Lebanon indicate the IDF could be preparing for a wider operation. 1 million Lebanese civilians already displaced, with more towns and villages now ordered to evacuate. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez reports from that border tonight.
Tonight, as Israeli ground forces push deeper into Lebanon, the world asking, how far will they go? The IDF says it aims to push back Hezbollah militants who have been firing rockets into northern Israel for nearly a year, targeting them in small-scale raids along the border. But as we drove the winding mountain roads of the Galilee, we saw evidence of a much larger military buildup.
All across northern Israel, we are seeing tanks, armored vehicles, the unmistakable signs of an army on the move, getting ready to head over the border into Lebanon.
It's raising fears that what Israel says is a limited offensive is instead the start of a wider assault.
Are these local raids going to be enough to push Hezbollah back, or are you going to have to send in more forces?
We're focusing on local raids according to intelligence, where we know there's Hezbollah infrastructure that we need to remove. And we're going after the points where we understand the proximity is dangerous and is preventing right now the possibility of Israeli civilians going back to their homes in northern Israel.
Around 1 million Lebanese civilians have already been displaced by Israel's operation, according to Lebanon's government. And tonight, the IDF ordering the evacuation of 25 more towns and villages, including the regional capital Nabatea, which is outside the UN buffer zone designed to separate Hezbollah and Israel. Around 1,400 Lebanese have been killed by Israeli strikes in just over 2 weeks, according to the health ministry. Among them, more than 100 children. The intense bombing has leveled whole neighborhoods. This is what's left of Sausan al-Halawa's home. Here is where my daughter-in-law died, and both her sons were hit, she says. Her own face still bearing bruises from the blast. Israel says the attacks have succeeded in destroying Hezbollah tunnels along the border and limiting the group's rocket fire, though not stopping it altogether.
We are once again seeing Israeli Iron Dome missile interceptors launched into the air, trying to take down some of this incoming Hezbollah fire.
The ground assault, not without cost. At least 9 Israeli soldiers have been killed so far, reviving memories of Israel's 1982 invasion of Lebanon. What was supposed to be a limited operation turned into a 20-year occupation of the country's south. Hundreds of troops were killed fighting Hezbollah in a quagmire conflict sometimes described as Israel's Vietnam. Tonight, those same border villages are once again a battlefield.
Raf Sanchez joins us tonight from Kiryat Shimona in Israel. Raf, you talked about the buildup of troops on the border with Lebanon. I can't imagine the tension there. Talk to us about the atmosphere where you are.
Yeah, Tom, this is Israel's northernmost city. So Lebanon is just the other side of that mountain ridge. And you can probably see the bright lights behind me, but this is a ghost town. All or most of the 22,000 residents of Kiryat Shimona have been evacuated. And pretty much the only movement we're seeing in the city are Israeli forces moving around. Now, it is quiet right now, but all day we've been hearing the sound of outgoing Israeli artillery fire, shells being fired into Lebanon. In just the last few minutes, we've been hearing what sounds like machine gun fire. So it is a reminder, the fighting is very, very close. Israel says the whole point of this ground offensive is to make it safe for its civilians to return to places like this. Some of those civilians telling us they're glad the Israeli military is taking action. Others are saying they're skeptical if this area will ever be safe again. And of course, Tom, on the other side of that mountain ridge, major, major devastation in Lebanese villages as a result of those Israeli airstrikes.
And as this war widens, okay, Raf, we thank you for that. Still ahead tonight, a verdict reached in the Tyre Nichols case. A jury handing down a split decision for the Memphis officers accused of killing Nichols during a traffic stop. We'll break down what happened in court. And Garth Brooks accused of sexual assault by a former makeup artist. What the country star is saying tonight. The Menendez brothers murder case back in the spotlight amid a hit Netflix show. The announcement just made by the Los Angeles DA about reviewing new evidence in that case. Stay with us. Okay, we're back now with new allegations against a country music superstar, Garth Brooks. The singer-songwriter behind hits like Friends in Low Places now facing accusations of sexual assault and battery. This stemming from a lawsuit filed by his hairstylist and makeup artist. Here with the latest, NBC's Steve Patterson joins us now from Los Angeles. What does the lawsuit allege, Steve?
Yeah, Tom, I've looked at the lawsuit. The allegations here are stunning. They are detailed. They are graphic. And while I'll spare some of that detail here, I think it's important to issue a trigger warning to anyone watching. The suit names the alleged victim as Jane Rowe, the makeup artist first hired by Brooks' wife, Trisha Yearwood, who started working with Brooks on gigs back in 2017. The filing, however, stems from allegations in 2019 alleging Brooks repeatedly exposed himself to Rowe, shared inappropriate sexual advances and messages, enforced inappropriate touching. And according to the suit, this reaches a boiling point in May of 2019, where Rowe alleges that she is raped by Brooks in a hotel room while they're on a work trip. And the sexual remarks even increase in volume, according to the suit, after that incident. The suit saying that the trip was a Grammy Honors event here in Los Angeles. And of course, the suit filed in a California state court today.
This is the first time we've ever heard any type of allegation like this against Garth Brooks. Has he responded tonight? Do we know if he's taking any legal action?
So in this suit, it references another anonymous suit filed in a Mississippi court in September. So this is before the current suit from Rowe, with Brooks reportedly describing himself in a separate countersuit before this suit as a celebrity public figure who resides in Tennessee. That suit allegedly asked the court to declare that Rowe was leveling false allegations and to bar her from publicizing them any further. It also reportedly claims that she asked him for salaried employment and medical benefits, and that after he refused, her attorney sent Brooks the confidential demand letter containing the allegations that I'm reporting to you now. Her attorney team, of course, claiming this was all an attempt to silence Rowe.
And just to be clear with our viewers here, we've reached out. We've been looking for a response from Garth Brooks and his representatives, but so far we haven't heard anything back yet, right?
Nothing back yet, Tom. We have reached out to his attorney team. We are trying to get an answer there.
Okay, and when we will, we'll bring it to you. Thanks so much. We appreciate that, Steve. Now to some late-breaking news tonight. A split verdict in the federal trial in the police beating death of Tyre Nichols during a traffic stop in 2023. NBC's Rahema Ellis joins us now. Rahema, this is pretty surprising to a lot of people, including the family of Tyre Nichols. We were down there when they released that video. It was incredibly shocking what we saw from the men involved with the quote-unquote Scorpion unit, a crime suppression team. What did we learn today in court?
What we learned today, I think, was surprising many people, Tom, exactly because of what you said. This beating was captured on videotape. It ended up being a deadly beating. 29-year-old Tyre Nichols died just a few days after he was beaten. What we found out today in court is that the 3 officers were all convicted on charges of witness tampering, but Demetrius Haley was guilty on 4 of 6 charges, including witness tampering and a lesser count involving bodily injury. Former officers Justin Smith was acquitted of federal civil rights violation, and the same is true of former officer Tadarius Bean. Those officers, all black, as you point out, were members of this special crime suppression unit. They were all fired, but it's not over for them. These officers now face charges in a state court of second-degree murder.
And I know this information is just coming in. I think we have the video of some of what happened when he was taken out of the car and he was beaten, because I think it's important for the viewers to see this, to understand why the family would be upset with the jury, with the verdict reached so far. Is this sort of the end of the case as we know it for right now? We know 2 of the officers did plead guilty, right?
Yeah, and those 2 officers also cooperated with the prosecutors in this particular trial of these 3 officers. But as we mentioned, it was a split decision on the part of the jury. 1 officer being found guilty on most of the charges, but 2 of them found not guilty on most of the charges, with the exception of witness tampering. And again, as I say, this is not over. Even after the second-degree murder charge that these former officers will face in a state court, you can expect that there will be civil charges that will come out on this case as well.
And what was so interesting about this case was that the police released that video immediately because they didn't want to have any protest, they didn't want to have any problems, and they fired those police officers pretty quickly as well after that video was released. I'm sure there's a lot to go in this case, but we thank you for bringing us the breaking news that just came in. Still ahead tonight, we have more breaking news. The union representing thousands of longshoremen announcing that they've reached a tentative deal. Remember, the strikes at the docks, ending a days-long strike, what that means for workers and our supply chain. Stay with us. We're back now with more on the devastation left by Hurricane Helene. In Tennessee, one survivor of the devastating floods shocked to see a video of her home floating away with her on the front porch. Her husband trapped on the other side, out of the reach of rescuers. NBC's Marissa Parra has this heartbreaking interview.
It's traumatic. I mean, I never thought it would happen to me.
For Tennessean Vicki Hunter, the devastation from Hurricane Helene is more than an image on the screen. It's the living nightmare that stole the love of her life.
I just loved him so much, and I wish he was here. I really do wish he was here.
As Helene was passing through with just a light mist in the air in her neighborhood, she and her husband Jerry thought they were safe at home.
1 minute I'm baking cookies, and next minute I'm fighting for my life, and my whole life has been turned upside down.
But within minutes, the Nolichucky River, normally just a couple feet high, turned to 30 feet, sweeping away everything in its path, including her home.
I was talking to my sister. I said, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. And we can't get out. I said, I love you. I love you. She said, I love you too. And she's like, Ron and I are on our way. We're on our way.
But the phone call cut out, and her family was in the dark for over 30 hours.
I tried to go in once, and the furniture was floating and knocking me over.
Her home, lifted off its foundation, was seen on video floating down the river. Vicki stranded on the front porch with her dog on her shoulder, her husband unable to get back to her from the other side of the house. Minutes felt like hours waiting for help until she spotted a bright red boat headed her way.
The rescue crew would blow a whistle, and I would scream help. I would scream help. And about the time that they came around, probably 20 feet away, I could see the red front of that rubber boat. That's when my house started popping and cracking and breaking apart. And I had to jump. And I'm in the and I seriously, I don't know how deep it was, but I sank.
But Vicky was the lucky one.
I lost him, and the last I seen of him was his little head, and he was trying to doggy paddle, I guess. And I'm like going, oh my God! And I looked at the rescue crew and I said, "Can we save my little dog?" And he says, "We have to save you."
Could you hear Jerry on the other side?
No, no. I did not know. Like when the rescue crew brought me ashore, that's when they told me.
Her husband of 14 years was never seen alive again.
Jerry tried to get back to me, and he jumped in the water. And someone said, "Can he swim?" And I said, "Yes, about as good as he can dance. 1 foot over here and 1 foot over there." I don't know that I've ever seen him swim. So he went in and never came back up.
Her story among the hundreds here she hopes doesn't get lost.
I know. I mean, life won't be the same, and I want help for the other neighbors. I mean, I want the other neighbors to get help with their homes. I want them to be able to rebuild. I want my neighborhood back.
Vicky, like so many of her neighbors, did not have flood insurance because they didn't expect this to happen, Tom. She is now homeless, planning her husband's funeral. Tom?
It is all so sad. We are going to be thinking about her tonight. It's just one of the more compelling stories we've heard. And like Marissa pointed out, there are so many people with similar stories there. We're going to continue to follow all the damage from Hurricane Helene. We do want to turn, though, now to Top Stories newsfeed, and we begin with an update on the Menendez brothers' 1996 murder conviction. Late today, the city's district attorney announcing L.A. prosecutors are reviewing new evidence in the case of Eric and Lyle Menendez. Lawyers for the brothers who were convicted of murdering their parents inside their Beverly Hills mansion have asked for a new trial. The new evidence includes a letter they say corroborates allegations Lyle was sexually abused by his father. The DA says he will decide if the case should be considered for resentencing. A hearing is scheduled for November 29th. And this just in, the union representing tens of thousands of dock workers says they have reached an agreement on wages, ending a days-long port strike. The union says the tentative deal extends the contract to January 2025, and all parties will return to the bargaining table to negotiate all other outstanding issues. Work will resume at all ports immediately. And 3 years after a fatal shooting occurred on that set of Rust, the film has a premiere date. That's right, it's coming out. The indie Western will be shown at the Camera Image Film Festival in Poland next month. A discussion honoring late Ukrainian cinematographer Helene Hutchins will follow. Hutchins was accidentally shot with a prop gun by the film's lead actor, Alec Baldwin. The armorer that loaded the gun was convicted on involuntary manslaughter charges. And Indiana Fever point guard Caitlin Clark named the WNBA Rookie of the Year. Indiana Fever sharing the moment Clark received the news, her teammates cheering and celebrating around her. Clark was 1 vote shy of winning the award unanimously, with 1 vote going to Chicago Sky's Angel Reese. This is the second consecutive year that a player from Indiana Fever has won the title. We want to turn now to the forecast and the historic October heat wave happening out west. Places like California, Nevada, and Arizona seeing temps 10 to 25 degrees above normal for the first time this year. And Phoenix recording its hottest October day ever. So let's bring in meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, talk to us about this record heat and what exactly is happening out west.
Tom, I shouldn't be mentioning or showing you this map anymore. I usually retire this map at the end of September, but here we are into October with 29 million people in heat warnings and advisories. As far as the record highs go, dozens of them today, and some of them are even all-time October record high temperatures. We did break the high in Phoenix once again today. Why is that important? This is 10 days in a row where they've broken their record high. That's almost unheard of in any location at any time in our country. And they did break the September all-time record and the October all-time record. And by the way, we're going to keep going. We may go up to 16 days in a row in Phoenix, breaking the record high day after day, and that's never happened in this country. And as far as that pattern goes, Tom, it's going to stay hot all month long.
We're going to take a turn here now. I've been hearing from our stargazers on the Top Story team about the northern lights, and that some places in the north here in the U.S. will be able to see them.
Yes, this is not going to be like the one in May that was like far to the south. But yeah, we did have a very strong solar flare that is arriving this evening, and it will be here for tomorrow, too. Anywhere in green here above this line, which pretty much goes Chicago to about Albany, New York, heading over here to about South Dakota, anywhere northwards, the northern fringe of the country, tonight's perfect. We don't have many clouds in your way whatsoever, and we have a new moon, so that's not going to obstruct you. So, Tom, I'd advise people tonight, get out out and see it. It's nice and mild. It should be a great show.
Coming up, Ghana's gold trade. The price of gold continues to soar, but Africa's largest gold producer, Ghana, not seeing those profits. Our Zincle Esemwa traveled to the country, visiting refineries and a mine to find out what's going on. We are back now with an in-depth look into Ghana's gold trade. The price of gold continues to hit historic highs, with 1 ounce costing more than $2,600. It's a trend that doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon as tensions in the Middle East escalate. But today, protests and public outrage growing in Ghana over illegal mining as the local gold market struggles to capitalize on this moment. NBC News daily anchor Zincle Esemwa traveled to Ghana for this report.
Outrage on the streets of Ghana. Demonstrators demanding a government crackdown on illegal gold mining. It's one of several controversies around gold. Though prices are up, Ghana, Africa's leading gold producer, is struggling to feel that payoff.
We are in one of Ghana's major refineries.
So we traveled to the West African country to learn more. Before selling to major buyers, gold is often refined, like here at Sahara Royal Gold Refinery.
Refining basically means you taking out impurities.
Do you ask about where it's coming from, especially in this environment where there is a lot of illegal mining?
Of course. The origin of the gold is very important.
But they say some refineries accept gold without proper documentation. While legal mining is subject to environmental regulations, that's not the case for illegal mining, locally known as galamsey. Galamsey miners dig shallow holes across acres of land near bodies of water without refilling holes after gold extraction. And mercury, often used to extract gold, can leak into the water.
Among the biggest complaints from communities here in Ghana about illegal mining is that water that was once clear is now polluted.
If you can drink it, you will stop this protest.
Protesters carrying bottles of dirty water to mark that point, in person and online.
Stop illegal mining in Ghana.
With hashtags Free the Citizens and Stop Galamsey.
It's an election year here in Ghana, and one of the biggest hot button issues is illegal mining. Because of that, we've had trouble getting any mines, small scale or large, to respond to us.
We did get in touch with a small scale miner operating legally. Yawa Mwafo says small scale miners are getting caught in the crosshairs of this fight. Ghana's government now weighing a total ban on small scale mining, which it temporarily banned in 2017.
If the government ultimately cracks down and says small-scale mines cannot operate anymore, what does that mean for someone like you?
Let me say this, it has brought out foreign income to the country.
It's become an integral part of the economy.
Yes.
Legal small-scale mines accounted for nearly a third of the country's total gold production in 2023. Another issue, nearly $31 billion worth of gold smuggled out of Africa in 2022 and sold to unknown international buyers. The U.S. State Department warning about the transfer of gold to criminal or even terror organizations. But even if illegal mining and smuggling are addressed, experts say Ghana faces a major disadvantage.
Most of the customers do not even opt to refine
in Ghana
because when you refine here, you do not have the hallmark to authenticate it.
In order for gold to be delivered directly to any gold exchange, it needs certification from the London Bullion Market Association. There's only one refinery on the continent with that stamp, in South Africa.
If you can refine it in country to our standard, it means you can build your reserves, for example.
Today we witnessed
Ghana is vying to do just that, opening a government-backed gold refinery this year with the intent to get the elusive certification.
Given the history of colonization and exploitation of natural resources on the continent of Africa, how do you all navigate that with your accreditation services?
If you reach those standards, your Ghanaian refinery is as good as your South African refinery, is as good as your North American refinery. You all meet that global standard because you're equal.
Ghana now seeking out that equality, with advocates urging for a ban on illegal mining and smuggling, and the country aiming not just to export gold, but bring wealth back to Africa's Gold Coast.
Zing Clay now joins us in studio. So Zing Clay, talk to us more about these protests. What do we know about them?
Yeah, so Tom, today was day one of what's expected to be 3 days of protests. We did hear from Ghana's police service saying they were working with organizers who are all rallying against galamsey, which is the local term for illegal mining. Notably, the police say they're working alongside these organizers to make sure they're operating safely, because just weeks ago we saw numerous protesters arrested. That's part of why we've been seeing this trending hashtag Free the Citizens. It is worth noting, Tom, of course, Ghana facing an election December 7th, 2024. And so candidates on both sides of the aisle are feeling the pressure to address this issue, especially as the public continues to speak out. Tom.
So you mentioned in the report gold is at a 40% high, but Ghana has not felt that. We have the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates. Where's the gold market right now, and is it getting any better in Ghana?
Yeah, gold is doing well. As you mentioned, it hit an all-time high in September. Many reasons for that. In part, interest rate cuts here in the U.S., central bank pressure. We're talking China and India. And as you cover on this show, geopolitical unrest, right? We've seen tensions in the Middle East, in Ukraine, in Gaza. And so many economists say investors feel more comfortable investing in gold because it's viewed as a stable product that can hold wealth. The real question is, right, is it being felt in Ghana? And the answer right now is no, which is why we are hearing so much from these protesters, these small-scale miners. And I think we'll continue to hear from them past the election and beyond. Tom.
Okay, Zing Clay, we thank you for that report. We want to stay overseas now with Top Stories Global Watch. 2 Swedish teenagers were charged with detonating grenades near Israel's embassy in Denmark. Authorities say the 16 and 19-year-old suspects set off 2 explosives on a roof near the Copenhagen embassy. No one was hurt, but a nearby building sustained damage. Police are investigating if the explosions targeted the embassy. Now to the latest in the war in Ukraine and the Russian strike on an apartment building in Kharkiv. Ukrainian officials releasing new video showing rescue teams scrambling to save people trapped in rubble. At least 10 people were hurt. The strike on the 5-story building also ignited several other fires. Kharkiv has been a frequent target by Russian forces, with the city located only 18 miles from the border. And China's Coast Guard claimed it has entered the Arctic Ocean for the first time. That would make it the farthest north China's ships have ever been spotted. Chinese officials say it was part of a joint patrol with Russia. It comes one day after the U.S. Coast Guard spotted 4 Russian border guard and Chinese Coast Guard vessels in the Bering Straits near Alaska's coast. China's Coast Guard saying it was testing their ability to carry out missions in unfamiliar waters. Okay, when we come back, concert ticket thefts. Ticketmaster users spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars for huge shows, including Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour, just for hackers to transfer them to someone else. The fans now trying to get their stolen seats back. We'll explain why this is happening and how. That's next. Finally tonight, to the concert tickets disappearing. Customers using Ticketmaster waking up to find their expensive and hard to get concert tickets costing hundreds, getting transferred without their consent. NBC New York consumer reporter Linda Baquero talked to 2 women who claimed their tickets were stolen by hackers just days before Pink's concert that was scheduled for tonight.
Pink's record-breaking concert tour hits MetLife Stadium. Fans like Brenda Azzolino of Flemington scooping up seats 10 months ago through Ticketmaster with her sister as a surprise for their mom.
Got him for her for Christmas gift, and so we were all excited.
2 weeks ago, Brenda got an email that her tickets were being transferred, even though she didn't authorize it.
I was like, my tickets are gone. I said, somebody just took them out of my account.
This Demarest mom tells us the same thing happened to her.
On Saturday afternoon at 4:15, I randomly get an email. By 4:16, I get another email from Ticketmaster saying the transfer is complete.
Both women asked Better Get Baquero for help, and it turns out consumers across the country, from Philadelphia to Chicago, Minneapolis, Atlanta, and San Diego, are reporting the same problem with Ticketmaster. Alexandra says she's heartbroken. These second-grade girls no longer with tickets to see their singing idol, Pink.
So there's been a lot of tears. It's very frustrating. It's very upsetting.
Alexandra says she paid $1,275 for the 6 tickets. Brenda purchased new seats, but is asking for a refund of her original purchase, $428.
I just want my money back for the tickets that were stolen from my account.
We asked Ticketmaster if the issue has anything to do with their data breach this spring, which affected more than 500 million customers of Ticketmaster and its parent company, Live Nation Entertainment.
As serious as that was, there was no breach of
the sign-in credentials.
Senior Vice President Caitlin Henrich recently spoke with Today's Vicki Nguyen.
So Ticketmaster invests more in security and verification than the rest of the industry combined.
Ticketmaster gave News 4 this statement, saying in part, the top way fans can protect themselves is setting a strong, unique password. They note scammers are looking for new cheats across every industry, and tickets will always be a target because they're valuable.
Got to be careful with those tickets. We thank Linda Baccaro and WNBC for their help on that story. We thank you for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.